Hello, it's Susan Finch with Sales Lead Management Association and the SLMA radio show. And I am so excited today. We've been putting this together for months, I think. I have Laurie McGuire, who a lot of you will know as the CEO of Salagent, but she is also the founder and CEO of Vineya Group. And Vineya Group is all about nurturing, and I love in LinkedIn, her first line in her bio is, it's all about relationships. And that's what we're here to talk about today, the ever-changing face and the not-so-changing face of relationships and what we're doing now. So with that, Laura, hello.
Well, Susan, hello. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad we finally see each other face-to-face. We've been chatting a long time, but it is all about relationship, and we've spent the last 25 years, and again, this will be Vineya Group is our fifth company in a related space of marketing automation or sales lead management, but really all about prospect engagement and conversion, revenue acceleration, using these techniques that you and I and all of our colleagues that will probably be watching this are so familiar with. So, you know, each of these companies that are our colleagues in the space have a sort of just kind of a slightly different tilt to the way they look at the world and the way that they help their clients, and that's kind of the fun stuff I'm sure we'll be talking about today.
Well, I'm a firm believer in our history is what builds who we are. And, you know, we both decided we don't feel like talking about sales lead management today itself because we've done that.
Yeah.
And I want to talk more about relationships, philosophies, but we start with our history. And I'm going to bring up what you told me because I think it's a great fact about you. A lot of you, and I'm sure most of you, do not know that up until the 9th grade, Laurie McGuire was the arm wrestling champion in her school. And that tells you the type of woman that she is.
Oh, you. You let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to get you next time I see you in person. We're going for it. So you want to go that far back? Yes, that's true. I was a competitive swimmer. From the time I was 6 years old to the time I was 14 years old, and I was like this little tank, you know, that just skittered across the top of the water. But in the course of doing that, I became very strong for a little kid. So I don't know how it started, probably sometime in 5th grade when we moved from my dad's last post as an Army colonel in Fort Leavenworth.
Oh, wait, and you're an Army brat?
I'm an Army brat for sure.
Awesome.
Emphasize the brat part for the rest of my siblings, but I have 7 brothers and sisters. We're 8 Army brats, and 5 of us were actually born here in Colorado Springs at Fort Carson. So there's always a joke in Colorado that there are very few natives, but I am one of them. But yeah, in 5th grade, my folks retired. My dad retired from the Army. He trekked us out to Colorado, and we landed up in a little town just between Colorado Springs and in Denver called Monument, Colorado, and that's where I lived, and that's where I still live today. I've moved into 6 different houses in Monument, Colorado through the course of my life. But in 5th grade, somehow somebody caught wind that there was this, and I was little, you know, that there was this little blonde girl that could whip anybody in arm wrestling. So it was because I swam. I was strong. But anyway, so the boys, at some point, somewhere in 5th grade, they stopped challenging, right? But 4 years later, in 9th grade, Glenn Sisk challenged me at the very beginning of school. He must have been working out over the summer, and he unseated me in 9th grade. So, but I will tell you a story. One time I was trying to raise some venture capital for our second company, which was ultimately called LeadWorks, and it was a venture capital funded enterprise marketing automation company that had started in sort of the 1998 time frame, you know, when things were really good and before the bubble burst in the .com marketplace. But there was one venture capitalist that was just giving us the runaround, and he was, I won't name names, but because he's fairly well known, but he's kind of a diminutive man. It's not very big. And finally I said, I'll just say, John, this has been going on for months. How about we arm wrestle for it?
Oh.
And I put my arm up on the table, and he sort of backed off, and I said, kidding. But I thought maybe that would speed things up a bit. So that's way more fun than sales lead manager.
Oh my goodness. But what I've learned about you from that not only you have, recreated yourself, reinvented yourself, you as a company have reinvented yourselves several times. It tells me you adapt well, you have to be strong, you're a self-starter, you also need to be able to develop relationships every time you move and hopefully maintain them when you go from place to place, and bring some of those along with you for that strength. And I think that carries through in everything that I've seen and read about you and read that you've built. It's one of the reasons why you have been named to the 50 most influential in sales and management for a few years now. And I think you're in the top spot, or within the top couple the last few years.
Right.
And 20 women to watch in sales and management. And I know you don't just want to talk about that, but there's a reason why people seek you out and admire you.
Well, I think, to be fair, I have a very large family who all vote for me. Number one. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and all their related offspring. But actually, I think that's, you and I were talking a little bit beforehand. I really, and my friend MacMcIntosh and I talked about this many times over the years. The things that we do have to pass the life is too short test, and whether that's a business that we're starting and we're growing up, or it's the clients that we engage with, or it's the value that we're bringing to the marketplace, it just has to pass the life is too short test. So that is fundamentally true about the relationships that we receive and accept and maintain, and the ones that are a season of our life and then move on. But I would say that in the course of 5 businesses, 25 years, we probably hired over 1,000 people, probably well over 1,000 people. We've worked with well over 100 customers and multiply that by 2 or 3 people in each company. And I will honestly say that what we consider success, obviously, we all want to have profitable businesses, and we want our clients to have profitable results and high return on investment. But what we don't talk about that very much. I mean, we manage it, we monitor it. But what we really end up spending a lot more time talking about is, just the people that we've grown to know and love. And I still am in contact with Mac would appreciate this, with the people that were in our first big account with NEC. 25 years ago. We still actually stay connected, and even though we're not necessarily pursuing that business anymore, we've maintained friendships and relationships over time. So that probably, that is the most gratifying thing about when you put out a request, a little request to support me on a vote, that people, are happy to do it, because you've established and maintained a rapport through the years, and that is exactly the same philosophy that we bring into every prospecting initiative that we help design and execute for our clients.
So this tells us how you have built this over the years and your reputation. How long did it take for you to get to the point in your first venture? How long did it take to get to that point? For one thing, to have the confidence that that I never have to work for somebody again. I'm working for me. And next, that you knew, okay, I can rest easy because I will have this support of these people, and I plan on taking them with me. When did you know that?
Oh, that's a good question. It's really interesting, I never actually thought of myself, because I had a wonderful corporate career with United Technologies for 12 years before I became an entrepreneur, and I absolutely loved it. But when I decided to leave the company, I did a whole battery of testing, and this was in my early 30s, and it kept popping up, high entrepreneur. And I think in the first, I had 2 babies at the time. I mean, 2 little babies. I'm thinking, are you nuts? Start a business? Well, as fate would have it, that's exactly what I did. And in the ensuing 4 companies, you're older and you're wiser, and you failed. You've succeeded and you failed, by the way. Probably a more important teacher. But you don't know what you don't know in the first enterprise. And thank God for that, because
you wouldn't have done it.
It is grace that we don't know. I think I would have done it, but it was so funny because I'm pretty, I'm a natural risk taker. Most true dyed-in-the-wool entrepreneurs are natural risk takers. So that wasn't really the issue. But even on that first sale agent, the very first sale, we call it 1.0 because we had another 2.0 sale agent, this last company. But I was pretty intrepid, you know, as a young career woman. I didn't get too flustered about anything, but I will honestly tell you that when I left my big corporate job and we decided to do this, and my business partner Jeff Zigler and I came together, we had first of all, we started it in my dining room in Monument, Colorado. Then we moved it to a cinder block office building, and it had a garage shop right next to it. Very convenient if you needed your oil changed, but kind of an interest. Just a little rabbit trail. This is so funny. This is so funny. Again, my business partner Jeff Zigler was an electrical engineer, very technical, that kind of thing. So when we moved in, this three of us that moved into this little cinder block building in Monument, Colorado, we would look like any other small brand new business, pretty naive, pretty wide-eyed, you know. But we had these telecom, very large telecom company coming, you know how they go door to door, yep, and they want to come get the businesses, telecommunications business. In fact, we have a big client now that we're supporting that very effort for them. It's kind of ironic. But one of our very, very first brand name customers was somebody walked in our door. There were three of us, and this was back in the day when we were ordering T1s, right, back then to have bandwidth. So 1991 time frame. And so they come in, and Jeff's very technical. He's sitting down with them. There's three in there, and we're ordering a T1, and they think they have a pigeon on the line because we're like, oh my gosh, you know, they're thinking they're getting this big order because they didn't understand. We knew what we were doing and what we were building. But before they were out of the office, we had told them what we do. We told them how we supported people like them so they wouldn't have to go in cold, and lo and behold, we were invited within 2 weeks to their corporate headquarters in Kansas City, and we ended up making them one of our very first clients. And they're not the only client that has walked in the door, you know, to try to sell us, and we turned the tables. So, but back to the question of entrepreneur, I think at some point it was such a rush. It's so much fun. Not just, and I will have to tell you, I do a lot of public speaking now, and have the minute you start to show a little bit of success, people love to invite you to come talk at this or that. And I have been honored to do a lot of industry speaking, but I have the most fun when I'm invited to come and speak because of my entrepreneurial experiences and business building, business successes, business failures, and how we integrate all of that into our life story. So I don't know that anybody would ever hire me again. I'm not sure.
And I don't know either. I've had people, I get a lot of people that want to partner with me in things.
Yeah.
Let's do this together. I'm like, yeah, I know, because you have 3 years and I have 25. Okay, sure. And it is interesting, but the rush, I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
When it hit me that I could do this on my own, it was actually same thing. I was about 30 weeks pregnant with my daughter, and I was supposed to go to a meeting with a client. I was starting to work from home, but I was going to a meeting and I had to cancel because I went into labor.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, it's like, I'm never going to go back to an office again, and I can do this. And
Yes.
It's scary, and I'm going to do it. And the company that I was working with became my first client.
Oh, wow.
And gave me, yeah, I mean, he said, let's just go virtual. And so we did, and he became my client when I made the full transition into 100% on my own.
That's wonderful. I have a similar experience. When I was still with United Technologies, they were fantastic. And in fact, I would almost call us, they didn't fund us out, but both my partner and I came out of United Technologies, and they became one of our first 3 clients. Same kind of situation. Yes. And another funny story, and again, we are absolutely about honesty and integrity, but also good salesmanship. So when we were, Jeff and I were referred to another Fortune 500 label to go in and pitch to them. We built a proposal, and we went in and presented how we could help them accelerate their revenue acquisition and their customer acquisition by using this thing called sales lead management. Remember, back then, that wasn't really a term, but
Right.
we were talking about prospect maturation and prospect nurturing, honestly, before the term database marketing came into play. Marketing automation was in play, so you can imagine. But when you're presenting to senior, C-level staff of, highly sophisticated companies, they're very alert and they're very interested, and they assimilate very quickly. So we were in this meeting, and we're in our Sunday best, right? Coming to present to the client, and we had a good referral in, and so we banged it out. We did a great job. We presented this thing, PowerPoint, did the whole thing, answered the questions confidently, and then the president said, "You know what? I really believe we are going to benefit from this type of an approach, this type of a strategy." So at the end of this story is, so the president says to me after agreeing that this would be a really great initiative for them, agreed with the pricing, agreed with the approach, and then he said, "So how many customers do you have?" And I said, "Well, including you, exactly one." And he was so appreciative of it, of the honesty, that he says, "We're going to give this a try." And so we're always ever grateful for all of our clients, but particularly
Yes.
the early ones that will stick their neck out. So
Right.
we've had great supporters, whether it's been family that have been given that, or angel investors or whomever who have given us seed funding in the early days.
Right.
What I love about Vineya Group is that we opened this company with company funds.
That's exciting, and that's
the plan.
That's a milestone right there.
Yeah.
But this is a good point. We're going to take a quick break here and get a word from our sponsors, and we will be back in just a minute with Laura McGuire.
Large companies with complex sales channels have sophisticated lead management needs. They require customized lead management systems and services and integration with additional systems. That's why, since 1981, these companies have relied on Smart Lead by AdTrack, the only full-service lead management company with customized systems for lead management, Salesforce automation, and analytics. These systems are managed by each client's dedicated account manager and are integrated with Smart Lead's in-house marketing services that include a contact center, email marketing services, print services, direct mail and fulfillment, and an ISO certified warehouse. Smart Lead by AdTrack. 3 decades of pioneering lead management best practices and systems for complex lead management needs. For more information, visit our website at smartlead.com.
If you'd like to learn more about either sales lead generation or sales lead management, why not check out the only organization that focuses on both, the SLMA website. You can go to simply theslma.com. That's THESLMA.com. Sign up for your free membership and learn more.
All right, thank you. We are back now, and we're going to continue this conversation. Laura, part of this has been getting to know you and your story a little bit more, and I bet a lot of people, you don't get an opportunity to tell all these nostalgic things, and I'm really enjoying them. But I want to transition us into this conversation of relationship building, the importance of it. We know how it used to be, and for those that don't, it's really hard to catch them up on how we used to have to do it all.
Right.
And the true relationship building, especially in arenas that were primarily male. I mean, it's a different way of doing it because they still do it that way and it's still successful.
Mm-hmm.
Women are still catching up to not be as threatened by each other and to really bring each other up together.
Right.
The thing we had a quick fun moment that we have a common friend. You've had him for a lot longer than I have, Ronnie Bincer. And Ronnie has been bringing you into the world of Google Plus and Hangouts on Air. And this is what I do. This is where I am happy. This is where I pretty much live all week long, and training people how to do it. So what are you noticing? We're having to rethink this with the changes in LinkedIn, how they're turning more and more into a media resource, a content resource where people are publishing great content, making comments on it. like a huge blog interface rather
Right.
than being the resume job hunting connection place.
Right. So,
So talk to me about switching over and coming over and your feelings.
well, I think it's not switching over as so much as it is adding to the toolbox. And again, when things migrate, something will start, some tool, whether it's a SaaS tool or now a cloud tool or a social media platform, those types of things, they are almost never what they started out to be 2 years later, 5 years later. You can pretty much count on that. So one of the things that I told you earlier is that we are really very technology agnostic. You hear this term quite a bit. We want to investigate every tool, every platform that makes sense and is a cost-effective way for helping us do this matching of our client's value proposition to a known need or even an unknown. Sometimes you introduce a solution to a prospect and it finally puts words around their problem, right? Especially in early adopter types of activities. So, we were talking about, Ronnie Bincer is, like you, is a nationally prominent expert. He started out in search engine optimization and became very nationally prominent in understanding Google Plus and especially Hangouts as a content generation engine. So obviously video SEO is hugely critical to where the world is going in terms of content ranking and all of that. So,
but it's more than that too. I mean, I think people are doing themselves a disservice when all they talk about is the SEO effect of it. What I'm seeing more than anything is the way that it is successfully helping people build authority, because you get a real flavor for somebody, their confidence in their topic, and who's connecting with them.
Right, I think that's true, and that's a really good point. And people like you and Ronnie would completely get that and understand it and know how to get the value out of it. To your question, if you have to do your due diligence about every type of tool in the arsenal, and you have to know how to integrate them and combine them. It's not we had sort of the HubSpot frenzy for a while on inbound digital, all of that. It's all great. It's good stuff. Get it. Fanning your digital feathers in the marketplace and having people come to you. I love that. But if you don't, I think we talked about earlier, there's so much coming at us at such a pace that you do some days just say, and my staff laughs when I say this, I say, please don't make me learn something new today. One day off.
I'm always telling my family, my brain is tired. My head's tired.
Yeah. And and I think that is absolutely part of the fatigue. There's this huge excitement, but there's also sort of this fatigue, and you cannot do everything all at once. No. But what I will say, and I agree with you, and I agree with experts like Ronnie, that anybody in our line of work that is about prospect engagement and conversion, and filling the top of the pipeline, the funnel, if you will, and then trying to rapidly convert those prospects based on their needs and what's relevant to them. We understand all of these tools, whether it's digital retargeting or social media components, whether it's good old-fashioned email marketing and how to integrate that, and how to integrate that with digital retargeting. There's all kinds of bells and whistles, but people better, folks better understand the power of Google Plus. They're not paying me to say this, but I can get the fatigue, but there has been a phenomenon of adoption in the last 2 years with that social network that we've never seen before, not even with Facebook. And because they have Hangouts and they have YouTube, and you know what? I'm not saying instead of other things, but I would not be at all surprised if it didn't eclipse some of the other things happening out there that we all thought were really whiz-bangy from a prospecting point of view even a year ago.
I agree, and I think part of it is a shift, like you're saying, it's not to dump these other venues or your efforts there, but I'm helping clients, and I'm doing it myself, shifting my hub. What is the hub to the spokes? And it used to be in one place, and now it's shifting somewhere else because it's much more effective. If I only have a couple of hours in a day or an hour in a week or whatever it is, where am I the most effective?
Right. And that you have to stay on top of it because it evolves.
It does.
Pretty quickly. So yeah. So I'm with you. I'm with you completely on that. So, you know, that's why, and I feel so blessed to have people in my life like you and like Ronnie because I can't be the expert at everything. You can't be the expert at everything. But you better, as a decision maker and as a leader, you better quickly understand how things need to be plugged in and applied in your environment and for the benefit of your clients, the people that you're serving.
Right.
So
I agree.
You know, it's the same thing. Well, similar where. I think I was telling you earlier that we have been involved sometimes early in the painful pioneering stages of a lot of things. Enterprise marketing automation is a good example. We were out there in the fray in the mid to late 90s, duking it out, and you know, we didn't hit the home run we would have hoped, but boy did we learn a lot. At the same time, sorry about that. We started to keep our eye on this concept of cloud before the term came up. So we, probably a lot of other scrappy small regional agencies or service providers, we stood up remote or cloud labor the first day Citrix stood up their server. You know, however many years ago that was, 25 years ago. So we ended up about 10 years ago with the suite of patents. In fact, I just sold them last week in a national intellectual property auction. But they were the earliest and most cited patents in the crowdsourcing and cloud labor space. So, you know, we have the digital side that is sort of, if you will, disintermediated of people. You know, basically it's a pull. So we're trying to reduce the amount of human resources that we're applying to the process, but we can't get rid of that human element. We don't want to, the relationship element. It's not possible in business to business, customer acquisition. It's just not possible. There's just at some point, it may be farther down the path than it used to be, but at some point you have to use voice to voice and face-to-face types of techniques. So we've always been fascinated to the point of investing a lot of our time and treasure into understanding the cloud and how things will how it will change the face of labor in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's another thing that I don't know if people are paying enough attention to. As you know, our colleagues that have their own businesses, or our clients that are looking at cost containment and profitability measures, those types of things. But I think it serves us well to really, I mean, not just be able to say the word crowdsourcing, or that to really understand what the evolution is going to be of how this will impact labor from, you know, we're seeing it. We've been seeing it for years in terms of, you know, sort of this online freelancing, e-lancing, those types of things. So content, this is it's rocking the content marketing world.
I agree. You and I will have to get back and do another thing about content marketing and relationships and how the two are so intertwined.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll do that on another show. We are at the end of our half hour. We have just recently gone down to a half-hour format because we like to do more shows. So I want to thank you, Laura McGuire. It has been a pleasure to get to know you more and to have this energetic and uplifting visit. I've truly enjoyed this.
Well, thank you, Susan. So I look forward to meeting you in person sometime.
That would be great. How can people find you?
Well, probably the best way right now is to go through our website, which is VineyaGroup.com. That's V as in Victor, INEA Group.com, which I think it's probably on the screen too.
Yes,
so.
it will be. Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to reach me.
All right. And then you're hanging out in Google Plus. You're hanging out in LinkedIn.
All right. LinkedIn's a great place. Google Plus is a great place.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you again. And this has been the SLMA Radio Show for the Sales Lead Management Association. And check out our new broadcasting station, which is SLMA Live. That's where you can have your own show. And you can have your own commercials on our shows that we're pushing out everywhere. So if you thought this was fun, check it out over there. Thank you so much. We will have you again and as our guest. Thank you.